Good morning, Service Alliance community. How
How you
y'all
doing?
doing today?
Oh yeah, you put a southern twang on there. How y'all doing?
How y'all doing? Good morning. Happy
Good.
Tuesday, everybody. Glad to have you. Thanks for joining. Gonna say
Yeah,
hi
we
to a
got
couple people.
people
Start
already jumping
in
on.
here.
They're eager to hear stupid dad jokes. That's what
Stupid
I'm
dad
thinking.
jokes. Stupid Mike and Jason's jokes.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
Good morning,
It's a good
Orkin. Morning, Adam.
man. There's
Good
got to be
morning.
something there with
And we got
Orcon's
everybody
name.
saying hi. Morning, Joe.
Hello,
Gasper.
everybody.
Iggy Six in the house. Morning, Jeremy.
Iggy 6. I like that.
Good morning, Joe.
Where's
And
Orcon from?
Dr. Dan.
Do you know?
What's that?
Where's Orcon from?
Orkin, where are you from? I forgot.
That'd be interesting. Well, hey y'all.
How
Hey
you
y'all
doing,
back.
Kurt? All right.
Boy.
Today.
Yes, today.
Today's the day.
Today's
We're
the
gonna talk
day.
about
Right?
being your own worst critic. But first, we're gonna get into some serious content before we
Okay.
get into anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That sounds pretty serious, Mike. I mean,
it is pretty serious.
worried? I mean, am I getting canned?
No, it's I mean, we're talking about being your own worst critic. And it's,
Yeah.
and I've been having this kind of imposter syndrome lately.
Oh Lord.
And
I'm so sorry.
my wife and I haven't really been getting along, and she's like, dude, you got to stop impersonating a flamingo. So I had to put my foot down.
Bad. Had to put your foot down. Okay. Wait, I thought we were supposed to do this where we weren't supposed to laugh. Yeah. We didn't set that up right. We did not set that up right. All right. So being in the trades for 25 years, I found that not all construction work is equally enjoyable, right? So for instance, drilling a large hole is boring, but fastening two pieces of metal together is riveting.
That's actually not bad.
Yeah. Okay.
It's okay. It's not crack up worthy, but
yeah.
Anyway.
All right. He hasn't mentioned where he's from, so I'm still in.
Not yet.
You got big plans for the holiday season?
I do not have any big plans. Just having the family over, which is big enough.
Yeah.
That's all I can ask for, right? Grandkids are coming over, and then we're gonna steal our oldest grandchild for a few days after Christmas and keep her. But other than that, nothing.
Yeah. Now you're up north quite a bit in Illinois. How far from Chicago are you?
It's 50 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
I'd say. I always just tell everybody I'm an hour south.
Is it snowing there yet?
We had a little bit of snow yesterday morning when I woke up.
I have another
overnight,
friend
but nothing
up
everything was like dusted.
Yeah. I have another friend up that way, and he'd posted some pictures about snowing. So I was just wondering if you got any. I found there's like this big cutoff in Illinois, and like extreme northern Illinois, they have like 4 seasons, right? You have almost winter, almost summer, and road construction.
Yeah, we all
that's
have
northern
the road
Illinois
construction season up here. I feel that's like anything north of central Illinois.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it's like
all the time.
I-80 or something like that. Yeah, but you want to see something really cool? Come to Southern Illinois, right? We are a completely different state. So, like Route 13. You ever been down that far south in Illinois?
Oh yeah.
So that's like our corridor right here where I'm at is Route 13, and Route 13 south is a totally different Illinois. Northern Illinois is like cornfields and windmills. And down here we have waterfalls, we have Garden of the Gods, we have the Little Grand Canyon, We've got hiking trails, over 100 wineries. I mean, it's a totally different Illinois. The
Oh
Shawnee
yeah.
National Forest covers a huge portion of the bottom part of the state. And so when I have friends that come in from out of the state, we take off and it's 80 miles from end to end, from river to river down here. And you can do that in a day easily and visit a bunch of places. And they're just so amazed by how much different our Illinois is from your Illinois.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Your Illinois is a lot prettier than my Illinois. Let me tell you that.
Yep. Hmm.
Adam says there's not even snow in Wisconsin. Yeah, we've been lucky. I mean, the East Coast is getting hammered right now in that whole area. So,
Yeah.
morning, Doug. Joe's over in the middle of the desert wanting some snow. You can have our cold weather any day, brother.
Yeah.
Don't even know what that means, Doug.
I have a really good friend of mine. So at our church, we have this big event each year called U Shine. And it's a 2 night,
Huh.
kind of like a big concert thing. And it's a lot of fun. You know, the whole church gets involved, kids. I mean, it's a big to do thing, right? And so one of my good friends proposed to his girlfriend this weekend at U Shine. And I thought that's kind of cool, you know. But I just asked him. He's been a construction worker in his life, and so I asked why it took so long for him to propose, and he said he was building up to it. Construction worker building up to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's actually in like cybersecurity, so it's yeah. Anyway, but he did really propose, and it took him like a year and a half to propose. He's had the engagement ring for a long time, so anyway, JV, congratulations if you ever watch this.
All right. Let's get into some word real quick.
Yeah,
Let's
did
get
you have
into.
something? We can talk about that.
Do you want to open us on prayer? And I'll do the verse for the morning.
Yeah, I mean, I can. It might be short and sweet today instead of
That's
preachy
fine.
because
I think they're sick of listening to us anyway.
Jason is a Southern boy. Yeah, Doug put that on there. Route 13. Oh yeah, you're not. Yeah, the
Yep.
next one was Route 13 or Route 13. It's Route 13. Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. I say washer. I don't say washer. That's EJ. He says washer.
Yeah. You got to go a little further south. You got to
Yeah,
cross the border into Kentucky before you change your accent.
which is only 45 minutes away, so we're a
Right.
close line. Yeah, for sure. All right, let's pray.
Right.
Dear God, just thank you for today. Thank you for another sunrise. God, I just pray that you're with us as we go throughout this day and that you would guide us, guide our talk, guide our footsteps, guide our hands as we work for our clients today. And God, I just pray that they have a moment where they ask themselves, is this guy a man of faith? Is this gal a Christian? What's their faith? What's their belief? Because their actions are showing me that they believe in God, and that's what I want. I want somebody to look at me and they ask, "Are you a man of faith? Are you a Christian?" Because they see it in my actions, not because I have to advertise it, not because that's what I say I am. It's because my actions show it, God. And so I just that's my prayer for today. Everybody watching this and everybody listening, that they let their actions show people that they believe in you. And we just thank you for this day once again. Amen.
Amen. All right. Today we're going to read from Romans 12:3. And it's about the gifts of grace. For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you, do not think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of the faith that God has assigned.
Well, there you go.
Now the reason,
Kind of went with that well.
yeah,
Didn't even plan
exactly.
that.
I chose that passage because we're our own worst critic, which is our topic today. So there's nothing wrong with being your own worst critic, but you gotta know that self-criticism can be dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
but it can also be healthy. It's all in the way you look at it. And it's the attitude that you go in when you're looking at yourself at the heart. And that's why I thought today it'd be good to talk about that from the business perspective.
Yeah.
So it really I'm going to tell you a quick story. Friday, I get an email from one of my clients' wives, and she has her own businesses, and both her husband and she are kind of two separate clients, but kind of all in one, right? So they basically, I've been dealing with the husband for over a decade, and we've gotten to be friends, and he lives here in Northern Illinois, about an hour away from me. And, we just kind of became friends. And so his wife emails me, and I hardly ever talk to her, but she emails me. She's like, "Hey, I got a problem with some spam coming through. Is there anything we can do to combat it?" And she had emailed me about this maybe a year ago. She was having this problem. So I was like, "Hey, I'm just going to pick up the phone and call her rather than try to explain what I'm going to explain over an email." So, long story short, 3 weeks ago, I had talked to her husband, and he was kind of ghosting me on a new website that I had built for him. And he kind of ghosted me for about 6 months. Well, he told me he had cancer and was going through chemo, and that he had gone through like 16 or 17 rounds, and it took a toll on him, but he was coming out the other end, and he was in good spirits. He's like, "I'm great." He says it's not treatable, but I got another 3 to 5 years left. And I'm like, well, that's a good attitude to have. He was really positive, and he's a believer, and didn't think anything of it. And he's like, I'm getting on the plane to Hong Kong tomorrow, going to see some properties. He's a real estate guy. He's like, I'm going to see some properties and meet with some people over there, and then, coming back after a week. And he says, we'll talk then. Well, I hadn't really heard from him, and I was just waiting for him to get back to me. Well, in the meantime, his wife emails me, 3 weeks later, about this spam issue. And I call her, and I'm like, "Hey, how you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, it's been a week, and like I feel like I've been hit by a bus." And she and I kind of laughed. I'm like, "Yeah, don't we all, right?" And she's like, it's just been really hard. And she's like, "My husband left me a list, before he left, of stuff to get with you about, and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Whoa, what are you talking about?" And she's like, I'm like, "What has been a week?" And she's like, "Oh, he passed." And like, I was like, "What?" So that kind of made my heart sink. This dude just told me he had 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
And here it's 3 weeks. And I was like, whoa, and it was just a fluke freak thing that was only partially related to the cancer, that caused him to go real fast.
Yeah.
And but the dude was smart enough, while he was on his deathbed, he didn't tell his wife that he had done this. He had called his attorney and had everything put into her name.
Yeah.
The business, everything, like said, put all the business stuff in her name. And he died that evening, before that was even like finalized. And she found that out later. And I was like, wow, so now she's going through all this self-critiquing with the business. And that's what kind of got me thinking about this topic. He didn't look at his business as critically as what she is looking at it now.
Mhm.
Now that she's trying to figure things out, and she's kind of forced into this situation, and I I'm helping her through that, and figure things out, because she had no idea that I knew as much about his business as I do. But I'm helping her work through figuring out the business end, and she's a businesswoman too. So it's you would think that it'd be easy, and it's not, plus going through all the grieving. But she's kind of being her own worst critic right now.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there talking to her, and I'm like, you can't be this way. I'm like, criticize the business, but do it in a healthy way so you can make it better. And we ended up talking for like an hour and a half after that, as soon as I said that, and then started, like, it's like her mental state completely switched, and she started looking at all the positive things in
Yeah.
the business. And I think there's a real difference between um, looking at your business. Sometimes we need to step back because we get in our own way, and we're our own worst enemy when it comes to our business. And if we can't step back and start looking at that 30,000-foot view of our business, we're never going to identify the problems, and we're never going to see what we can positively change.
Hmm.
So that's why I was thinking about this topic this morning, and then all that came to mind, and I'm like, you know what? I think this would be a good thing to do today. With our theme being feedback. How are we
Yeah.
criticizing our own and critiquing our own business and
Hmm.
our own self, actually, so that we can give ourself feedback and
Yeah.
make things better? Have you
Hmm.
ever been in that situation where you've really thought about that with your own company?
Yes. Um, Man, that's deep thoughts with Mike Carson right there. There's a lot of meat there,
Yeah.
and I really appreciate you bringing it up. That's good stuff. I I am really bad about self-criticism, and it's typically more negative than positive. So I have always tended to be one that I have to check in with Shayna, and I have to check in with those on my leadership team, um, to see how I'm actually doing. So typically, if not more often than not, at least once a quarter, if not more, I am having a conversation with my wife. Hey, how am I doing? What do I need to work on? How can I? And I let them know in a safe space, and in a way that is, I don't want to be confrontational. I need feedback to know how I am actually doing. Um,
And how long
and I
has she
think,
been writing that list?
26 years.
It's got to
26.
be a long
But see,
list.
yeah, but see, it's not just my wife; it's my kids as well, right? Um, I just had this conversation with Isaiah, my youngest son, here maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. I stopped him at one point, and I'm like, "Hey, I just want to check in with you. Safe place. I need to know how am I doing as your dad? What do I need to work on? What can I do better?" Right? And if you can do that in each area of your life, I think it could be very beneficial, um, because they're going to let you know, man, I think you're doing great as a dad. There was this one thing that happened that, you know, is a safe place, Isaiah. I just want to let you know, right? So that's the key part, is letting them know that you're in a safe place to be able to talk to me. My wall is down, my guard is down. I'm being very vulnerable because I want to be a better father. I want to be a better dad. I want to be a better husband. I want to be a better business leader. So my leadership team, I will check in with them. And even with our HR and training manager, with Tabitha, Shayna and I have one-on-ones with her where she is, doing the interviewing with us. Hey, what's on your mind? Right? And she just lets us talk. And that's what a good, you know, even if you don't have that in your life, you can have that with even a discipleship group, right? So I'm part of a discipleship group through our church, and we meet once a week. And that's a safe place for us to grow together as men, right? And become better, again, fathers, dads, businessmen. Uh, yeah, three of the four own a business. The other one works in cybersecurity. He was the guy I was telling you about earlier. Um, but he's one of the higher ups in his field. He works for U of I actually, which is really cool. But so I think it's really about making sure you're letting your guard down if you're going to be vulnerable enough to ask people for criticism, right? And you've got to learn to accept it in a way that's positive and that you utilize that to change your life for the better for yourself and for those around you. So that's a lot of how I get criticism um, in that form. My criticism, I think as men, I think we have typically um, we let our minds turn to negative criticism too
Right.
quickly instead of focusing on the positive. Um, I have an app. It's just called I Am, and it just feeds me positivity throughout the day, 6 or 7 times a day. I think we got it set up for 6, maybe 8 times, where it'll just pop up at random during the day, and it'll tell me positive quotes or positive sayings, positive things, right? And you can go in and set it to spiritual stuff, business stuff, whatever it may be. So, yeah, gets you thinking, right? So,
Yeah.
like right now, I just brought it up and it simply said, "How can I express gratitude today?" Makes you think, okay, well, I'm thankful for my wife. I'm thankful for my business. I'm thankful for, right? So it gets your mind thinking. And now throughout the day, I'm going to be going, "Hey, Shanna, I find it a blessing to be able to be married to you and be able to do life with someone like you." That's just first thing that popped in my head when I think about gratitude is being able to do life with my wife, right? Um, if you're not married and you're a business owner, what's the thing that you can express gratitude today? Is it somebody you work with? Is it your CSR in the office? Maybe send them a message through Slack. Just saying, "Hey, I'm grateful for you today." I'm calling out all the appliance guys we work
I mean,
with in this watching this channel
it's
today.
good. I mean, you don't know what you could do that could make someone's day.
Yeah,
With a simple gesture like that.
right. So, yeah, interesting conversation. Criticism to gratitude. Um,
Yeah. So I mean, healthy self criticism. And when I say self criticism, I mean not just looking at yourself personally as a
yeah,
business owner, looking at what you've built as a business, right? Let's
yeah,
let's tie the business into that. It's
yeah,
self criticism can kind of go down two forks, right? So how are you personally doing as a business owner
yeah,
and managing employees and dealing with your customers and things like that? And then how are you as a real business owner managing your business
yeah,
itself, with all the nuts and bolts that go into it that maybe aren't connected to people as much.
yeah,
So there's some increased awarenesses that I think when we do that in a healthy way and do it on purpose. I mean, we criticize ourselves a lot of times just out of habit, or something sparks a thought, or frustration, anger, whatever comes in all emotional avenues, right?
yeah,
But I think if you look at it and say, you know what, I'm going to do this on purpose and be critical of myself, I think that's a healthy way to approach it, because now you're looking for areas that you can improve, and you're breaking down yourself so you can build yourself back up.
yeah,
And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, as long as you're not being real negative and hard on yourself. I fell into that trap years ago. I worked for a company, and my boss literally just walked up to me one day and says, "You are so freaking hard on yourself, and it's going to be the death of you."
Mhm.
And I was like, my dad always had this saying that he would say to me. He's like, strive for excellence. And I took that to an unhealthy level of implementation, right?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
I wanted to be the best of the best, and I wanted to be the know-it-all of all information, and like outperform everybody, all my coworkers, and
Yeah.
just be the superstar. And it was an unhealthy thing to strive for,
Mm.
but once I was in that mode, I had no idea that that's what was happening. Someone had to walk up to me and say, "You need to stop that."
Mm.
And I remember that moment in that hallway that I was like, wow, I had no idea I was doing that. you know
Yeah. Mm.
so I mean,
Yeah.
sometimes it's good to get feedback from others, whether it's wanted or asked for or not.
Yeah. Striving for perfection, striving for excellence. I think as men of faith, we we want to be perfect, but we can't be perfect, right? And so striving for excellence, like you said, I think is a good target. But I totally agree. We have to be careful in that it doesn't overtake us. Hmm,
Yeah,
it's deep.
like I let that just go too far, and I think it
Yeah.
was just because I was young, I didn't understand it. I was in my mid 20s,
Hmm.
late, maybe 25 to 28 year range, um, where I didn't understand a lot of things like this.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting. You got me thinking deep today. I'm one of those that, like, as soon as we get off there, I'll be like, "Oh, I should have said that, or I should have said this." So, yeah. It gets you into thinking about the future and for planning as well. When you start looking at projections and, I've done this way, but if I just tweak this a little bit, what will that look like, in the incoming future as well? Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got a few bullet points I'll go over. So, increased awareness when you're critiquing yourself, or your business in any of these areas. Identify areas for improvement before exter- before external feedback, such as your customers or partners or employees do. So you're going to want to obviously be aware of it before it's brought up, because if it's brought up, then it's a problem. Just like my
Hmm.
boss came up and told me, you need to stop this. And I was like, wow, I had no idea that I had taken that to another level, because it became a problem. That's why
Yeah.
someone else was bringing it up to me. So if you can if you can really critically, evaluate yourself and your business, and what's going on before, someone else does bring it up,
Yeah.
it's going to be healthy for you, because you can start to correct it before before someone else actually has worked up the nerve to say something to you about it. Maybe they
Yeah.
all already know it's a problem, but they just don't want to say anything to you. It could be a spouse
Yeah.
or whatever. um, Improved decision making. Analyze results with a critical eye to make better choices going forward. And then enhanced innovation. Push yourself beyond your comfort zones to find new creative solutions. Um, I really agree that all these things are a byproduct of when you actually look at yourself. Like let's face it, all of us know what we're doing wrong. None of us want to admit it. And that's the problem.
Yeah.
We let pride get in the way. And, the biggest problem with doing all this, or even when somebody comes to you and says, stop doing it, it kind of hurts your self motivation, and you can get into a big slump. You can put yourself into a slump because you're like, or you can just be absolutely overwhelmed. And you shouldn't look at it like that. Like, don't start making lists of everything that you need to correct. Just
Yeah.
look at the big picture and say, you know what, this is tied, these are all tied, and maybe this one thing that I'm doing is causing a multitude of things. And now
Mhm.
I'm instead of thinking all this multitude of things that need to be fixed, look at the root cause, fix that, and everything else will self correct.
Hmm.
So,
Leading
use those.
indicators versus trailing indicators is one of the things that came to my mind whenever you were talking about that. So, our business coach that we use, big on leading indicators. What are the things in your business that you can foreshadow or foresee going to be happening? Like right now, a lot of our clients are starting to see a slowdown, right? We were talking about this briefly beforehand before we jumped on. So,
Right.
what are those leading indicators that you can see, and what do you need to do to boost up your call volume or boost up your sales, right? To take advantage of every little call that is coming in. So, versus getting behind the curb, your phone slow down, and now you're like, oh crap, what do I do now, right?
You're
So it's
scrambling and
the
because you're
the
hurting.
leading indicator. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I mean, looking at trends helps you identify these things ahead of time so
Yeah.
you can prepare for it. And if you're not
Yep.
looking at trends, then
Yep.
you're missing your future,
Yeah.
essentially. Um, History repeats itself over and
Mm.
over and over. It always has. And because of that's just the nature of people, and it, yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna say I hope it doesn't repeat itself like we're thinking it's gonna repeat itself, because that's a whole nother, yeah. Mm.
Well,
Anywho. Well, hey,
anyway,
uh this has been a good conversation today. So
yeah, I think it
yeah,
has.
good stuff.
I mean, we can wrap it up real quick. You want? I got a list of strategies for
Hmm.
channeling doubts into action. So let me go
Mm,
over those real quick, and then we'll wrap it up.
sounds good.
Frame self criticism as constructive feedback. Identify specific areas for improvement, not attack your overall worth.
Hmm.
I think that's a big thing. Set smart goals. Clearly define your measurable benchmarks to track progress and build confidence. If it's one thing that I've noticed in the service industry is very, very few people track things and
Yeah.
know where they're at so that they can actually track progress.
Yep.
If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. I said this to a guy that TK and I were in a coaching call just yesterday morning with. I told the guy, I'm like, you got to get your KPIs in order, because if you can't measure it, you can't manage it. How do you know you're improving? How do you test things to know if it works or not? So celebrate small wins, acknowledge and reward yourself for progress, not just reaching that final goal. Seek external feedback, balance self criticism with feedback from trusted advisors and mentors.
Hmm.
So, those are
For sure.
the few things that I've got, and we can wrap it up.
Yeah.
One thing I want to say before we go, stay tuned for tomorrow. I'm going
Tomorrow,
to,
but oh wait, there's usually nothing going on Wednesday. What are you
nothing's going
saying?
on tomorrow, but I am going to be on here, and I've got some special, well, don't want to say special things, but we're doing a special live stream, just me, And I'm going to come on here and talk to you guys about some changes with Google Business Profile ranking factors that are very, very important,
Cool.
that are going to, or have been most likely affecting your call volume.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to talk to you about some new FCC laws in regards to lead gen. So these are two really,
FNCC.
really important things that we need to talk about. So I'm going to have a special live stream just to talk about those two things, to inform you and let you know what's going on. So these are really important topics that I feel warrant a special
That's pretty cool.
live stream to let you know about them. So stay tuned for
Gotta
that.
love the FNCC.
Yes, FNCC, anything with the F in it.
Yeah.
I don't know
Before we go,
the F word, federal.
yeah. Before we go, I just want to let you know and let everybody know I was offered a electrician's job in Egypt, but I decided to turn it down because it just turned out to be a pyramid scheme.
Boom. All right.
On that note,
we have to end now. We have to put everybody out of their misery and just close this. So everybody have a great day. I'll see you all tomorrow if you're on. And I look forward to seeing you next week, Jason. Are you going to be on with me day after Christmas?
That is my parents' 53rd anniversary.
Well, that's their anniversary.
years.
It's not yours.
I know. I was just, you said the day after Christmas, and so yeah. Anyway, that just reminded me of that. So 53 years. It's incredible. But yeah, I have no plans not to be on with you. So
all right.
Do you know what we're going to be talking about next week?
Not yet.
Not yet. All right.
We'll make it special. Our Christmas special edition. New
day
Year's
after Christmas.
Yeah, year end special.
The in between special. You gotta find a fun name to call that one.
Yeah, okay. We'll figure it out. All right, I'll talk to you later. See everybody tomorrow.
See everybody.